Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and special guest. How many here have taken a vacation this past summer? Just a couple? Everybody. Super, great. How many of you took your laptop or your BlackBerry with you and had to check in at work once or twice? Come on, admit it. You can admit it. I'm glad to see that you all are honest with me. Hopefully you're honest. But what I want to do this evening is have you all think about disconnecting while you're on vacation. That really means leaving your laptop at home, not checking your BlackBerry for work email, not calling in for conference calls, etc. And I'm going to give you some tips as to how to think through this and think differently. I actually have been on conference calls this past summer with colleagues at Bristol Myers Squibb, and there are people who dial in for conference calls while they're on vacation. And typically, they're attending conference calls and contributing things that really aren't that important, so you've got to wonder why. But we're in a recession right now where jobs are hard to come by. You might be doing 2 or 3 projects that you didn't do 3 years ago. You're doing twice as much work as you had before. There are people who are being laid off, so consequently, we're a little anxious about work, right? We're a little anxious to not say no. So anyway, there's a little anxiety there. Checking in and checking out for your email, something might be okay, right? I'd say it's not right. And there's some strong reasons I'm going to convince you this evening. We live in this 24/7 news information society, right? We've got to have information all the time. It's always out there. And there's stimulation going on all the time. We might need our BlackBerry to check sports scores. We need to find out what's happening with the Giants or the Jets now that football season's in place. We need to check directions for a local restaurant or something. You might say we're a little obsessed. And I wondered too, if you went on vacation, did you update your Facebook? Did you Twitter? Did you send a tweet as to where you're going that evening? Did you tell people about how the weather was? Come on, you can admit it. Obsessed, yes. And there are a couple authors out there who have written some really interesting books. One of them is Nicholas Carr. He's written a book called The Shallows. There's another book called Hamlet's Blackberry, written by William Powers, and he has talked about some interesting phenomena about this notion of disconnecting. There's also an article in the Star Ledger this past summer that talked about the same topic of being disconnected. I'll pass that around in a little bit. What Carr basically says is that our brains are constantly trying to assimilate this information that's always around us, right? There's always stimulation. There's always a digital screen to look at, whether you're in the doctor's office, you're going shopping, whether you're waiting in line at the grocery store. And our brains are trying to catch up. So in this frenzied, non-stop environment, we have this constant stimulation going on, and our brains are really trying to catch up. And what this does is this has created an inability to think deeply or to contemplate different thoughts. So Carr also maintains that our old brains miss where we come to right now. So we have consequently not had a chance to really deeply think about issues. And the point I want to make in terms of why we should disconnect, particularly on vacation, is because we need to be refreshed. We need to rethink. We need to refocus. And one of the interesting things is, as employees in our career, one of the most valuable things we can do in an organization is contribute and to think through new processes, think about new products, think about ways to change things. And if we're constantly doing things, we're constantly stimulated, our brains don't have a chance to regroup, to rethink, and to make new ideas and processes, and change how the processes are in your organization. So it's really important to take this step back and to regroup and to refocus. Business wants this. Business is really hungry for this. We all need a break. Now, there's some practical solutions that I want to mention to you all. And I also have some handouts that I'm going to leave to you because you might not remember everything I tell you tonight, but I do have some things that I want to leave with you tonight. And there's some suggestions about how to disconnect. And I'm actually going to push the envelope a little bit and say you should ideally disconnect at least one day over the weekend. And this means do something away from your cell phone. Put your cell phone away. Typically what I will do for half the day is I won't wear it. That way, if somebody answers me and calls me, I don't answer, and I can get a voicemail, no problem. But one of the suggestions is go outside, go for a walk, take a hike, go for a jog, go someplace remote, whether it's canoeing on a river where you cannot be reached, right? But you want to disconnect. That's the whole main point. You've got to disconnect. In a work environment, a couple of the solutions that you want to consider are put an out-of-office reply on your email. Tell people you're not going to be in the office, whether it's for a week, whether it's for a couple days. And also put in your cell phone and state for something that's really critical or really urgent, feel free to call me. 9 times out of 10 people will not call you, but you'll feel better about it, right? You know that my project, if there's really an issue, somebody can reach me because I'll be on my cell phone. Use voicemail. Change your voicemail greeting. Say that you're out of the office, you're on vacation, and what you really want to do is delegate the work to somebody else. So if somebody has a question on your project, they can call somebody else, and they know who to reach. The other suggestion is talk to your boss early, as early as possible if you can, and find out your vacation time, your vacation slot, and then what you want to do is suggest to them who you should be, who your delegate should be. So in other words, you say, I suggest that Joe or Lisa be the delegate because they're really up to speed on this project and they really know how to handle this. And at the same time, you should check with your boss and say, do you think I should call him for conference calls? 9 times out of 10, again, they'll say, are you crazy? You shouldn't do that. Hopefully they'll say that. If they do say you should call him for conference calls, well, we may need to talk later, or later we'll have to think about some other career for you or another job. But those are some suggestions that I think we should all consider for the work environment. And I did mention that on weekends, if possible, you want to try to disconnect for even just half a day. It's really important. What we want to do ultimately is have our brains kick back. We want to have more contemplative thinking. We want to think more deeply, because at the end of the day, we all want to have an auspicious career. And we also want to have a better personal life, right? So we want to refocus, regroup, and be re-energized. So we are going to have a better personal life, and we're going to be better in our careers. Thank you very much.